one of the most common misconception, but I don't know if it's true or not, is that most Sabahans are good looking. No lah, just kidding on you. That's different. Jokes aside, one of the most common misconception that I face personally is about when I went to, because I'm studying in KL, and it's one of my first times, like when I went to KL, it's one of my first time landed in KL, and then everything you have to do it yourself. Kan? People always assume that, for me personally, people always assume that as Sabahans, we don't know how to do stuff. Because I don't know where they think about this, tapi I have this one example, really nice example. I'm one of the first Sabahans to receive this big scholarship lah, in Malaysia. So every year they only give around 5 people this scholarship. And then when I got the scholarship, when I went to uni, and then when my classmates found out yang siani dari that scholarship kan, one of them actually came out to me and then cakap straight to my face, I don't think you deserve the scholarship. Because he applied for the same scholarship juga, tapi he didn't get. And then I asked why. Then they cakap, oh, how many A's do you get for your SPM? And I'm like, oh, straight A's. Yeah, but how many A+? They cakap, oh, I only have 5 A+. Oh, I have 9 A+. I applied for the same scholarship, but I didn't get, you got it. And then I cakap, I diam-diam. I was so shocked because that time, imagine I was alone. Like, I don't have any friends. It was the first few days. Then macam, no one to back me up lah. And then lepas tu, he cakap, oh, I know what you get. It's because you're from Sabah. Sebab dorang kesian kau. And I'm like, I was so shocked. Like, I don't know what to do that time. Just because we're from Sabah doesn't mean we don't know stuff. I think it depends also because a lot of media people, I mean, in social media, they always kasih tunjuk yang orang Sabah ni tinggal di pedalaman. And usually kalau any news about Sabah, it's always about the bad stuff. Like, I don't know why, tapi it's always about the bad stuff dekat social media. You can see people saying yang we live di atas pokok, which is, I don't know how people think of that. Like, I mean, it will be cool to live on top of trees, tapi kami tidak tinggal atas pokok lah. I mean, kalau atas pokok pun kan maybe yang macam sci-fi, yang macam very cantik gitulah. Tapi that's the thing bah, that I don't really know, and people don't bother to actually ask you or maybe reconfirm with you directly. They just assume. When I went to KL, when I went to the Grab, they even asked me what currency do I use in Sabah. To be honest, I thought people were kidding. I thought my friends were kidding, my seniors were kidding when they check out people will ask you weird questions. Tapi I experienced it myself. And then it was not a long ago, like, I mean, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And then I'm like, oh, damn, like, this is a new experience.
I did my foundation in UPM, which is in Serdang, Selangor. So when I first arrived at UPM, right, the first few days lah, kau orang mana? Orang tanya. And then I say lah, oh, saya Sabah. And then banyak orang jumpa saya, and then they say, oh, Sabah bah, macam mana keadaan? Is it like on the TV, betul-betul macam yang daif kah? Daif, you know? Then I was like, no lah, saya macam biasa juga. And then they asked me about, how's the internet? Betul kah belum sampai 4G kamu punya kawasan at the Sabah area? And then I was like, oh my god, mungkin maybe banyak tempat pedalaman di Malaysia pula di Sabah yang memang ada tempat yang lain tidak bagus lah. Tapi saya kata dengan dorang, but my place it's okay. It's like the same like macam line yang ada sekarang lah. And then I was like, yang betul juga apa yang Shan cakap yang pasal atas pokok tu. Dia macam, maybe they know, it's not maybe, they definitely know that Sabah tidak semaju Semenanjung. Which is Sabah and Sarawak tidak semaju Semenanjung. Tapi adakah sampai tahap kita punya ketidakmajuan tu, sampai kita perlu tinggal di atas pokok? And that misconception kan is really weird bah, because we learn sejarah. And then benda tu kita ada belajarkan ketamadunan Malaysia, ketamadunan manusia, sorry. Kita ada belajar benda tu orang dalam gua, and then tinggal dalam atas pokok, and then kita akan pindah ke tanah, semua tu. Takkanlah macam mana ada orang boleh terfikir yang Sabah ni sebenarnya masih tinggal atas pokok, sedangkan benda tu kita sudah belajar. And then for me, the next one is, satu lagi misconception saya ingat, masa saya di Semenanjung studying, orang tanya, masa tu saya tidak silap zaman perayaan sambutan Hari Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken lah. Orang kata, Pika, mana baju apa kebudayaan kamu, which is yang baju kadazan dusun tu bah. Then I was like, di Sabah Sarawak ni, dia fikir di Sabah Sarawak ni etnik utama adalah Kadazan Dusun. Ya, memang tidak dinafikan lah, memang Kadazan Dusun banyak kan. Tapi kita ada banyak etnik lagi sebenarnya. Dan maybe this misconception happen because selalunya kalau media post anything on social media ataupun apa-apalah yang diorang cover, dia kebanyakannya diorang akan tunjukkan apa-apa yang mewakili Sabah Sarawak mesti baju Kadazan Dusun, and then mungkin ada sikit kurang lah untuk bangsa-bangsa lain, contohnya macam Bajau, Suluk, Sungai, Bugis dan sebagainya.
One more thing that I really don't like, right, is a lot of news actually comes towards Sabah, especially during the time of like, kau tengok siapa, during PRN, baru banyak news tentang Sabah. And all of those are negative news. And then sekarang kan during COVID cases di Sabah naik, and then it spreads towards the whole Malaysia, and then people will blame the Sabahans, which is I don't think that you should blame the Sabahans itself in general. Sebab macam it's not good to actually generalize the whole Sabahans. I have friends yang went back to vote dekat Sabah and then do quarantine dekat KL kan, and then they even got macam kena sindir-sindir bah yang they brought the COVID to KL begitu. But then we have to recognize that we didn't ask for an election, like it suddenly happened begitu. So you can't blame us for the election itself. And if lah kan, kalau possible, I think of course the normal human being wouldn't want an election unless we had to. So I think that's the what lah. Macam saya juga lah. I don't mind explaining to people because I feel like they have to be educated, but only if they're open-minded enough to hear what we're going to say lah. Sebab kalau it's macam, sometimes when I explain to people about the situation in Sabah, they make it a joke pula. Like, I feel like that's not how you should do it. If you want to know my opinion, you have to listen with an open mind. Bukan you want to joke it around, make it a joke, sama begitulah.
Kita Sabahan ni, kita memang dikenali dengan kita punya attitude yang relax and santai kan. So macam, but when it comes to leadership, saya bukannya kata benda tu tidak baik langsung, tidak. Tapi kita tengok keadaan. Okay, first, kalau orang tu adalah mesra dan santai dalam keadaan dia menyantuni rakyat, it's okay for me sebab mungkin lagi banyak orang akan suka and lebih banyak orang akan like boleh terus direct dengan dorang punya wakil-wakil rakyat ataupun leader-leader dorang jika dorang ada masalah ataupun personal apa dorang mau cakap lah, mau minta bantuan and so on. Tapi when it comes to work, when it comes to your commitment, contohlah kamu tidak siap kerja. Okay, contoh kamu sudah plan begini-gini-gini, sudah janji dengan rakyat begini-gini-gini. Tapi at the end of the day, kamu tidak buat pun. And then waktu tidak siap tu pun, leader tu akan kata, tak apa, relax bah, kita santai, kita kan sabar. It's like, ya, kalau yang tu dia memang adalah satu weakness untuk leadership di Sabah ni. I'm sorry to say, saya nampak banyak ahli-ahli politik and wakil-wakil rakyat yang memang sedang melakukan benda ini. Diorang macam take it for granted bah. Macam, ya semua orang tahu and then mungkin satu Malaysia ni pun tahu kebanyakannya rakyat Sabah dengan Sarawak ni dia hatinya terbuka bah. Dia macam lebih baik, lebih santai dan dia tidak press terlalu dengan mungkin wakil mereka, tapi you cannot take it for granted lah when it comes to work.
Saya agree juga dengan si Fika, and I feel like dia memang ikut situation bah. I mean kalau let's say lah kan, if you're a normal human being, who wouldn't want a relaxed punya boss bah? When someone is relaxed juga, and especially in the terms of leadership, you have to make decisions. So saya rasa kalau you relax and santai juga, you have to know when to call the shots, when to speak up as a leader itself. Tapi if you go towards past the leadership punya spectrum kan, if you go towards the orang-orang like us as orang rakyat biasa lah, kan begitu, we're all leaders in our own way. Tapi kan saya rasa the thing about Sabahans yang kita banyak relax and santai comes to a fault to us that macam you know sometimes kami rasakan when something happens to us, kalau something jahat happens to us, our parents will usually just say, biar sajalah tu, or it's okay, biar saja tu. In that case kan, we should speak up, we should know when to act. Walaupun our not stereotype, memang betul juga banyak orang Sabah relax dan santai kan, tapi when the time comes, we should know when to speak up lah, when to act against it, especially in terms of kalau let's say you want to see change. If you want to see change, kau tidak boleh relax saja, kau tidak boleh santai. You have to do something. Everything is according to its time lah, the right place at the right time.
For me, of course, it's possible bah, because terbentuknya Malaysia adalah terbentuknya kita daripada penggabungan Tanah Melayu, Sabah dengan Sarawak. So anyone from this area daripada Malaysia ni, siapa-siapa pun boleh jadi Perdana Menteri. Tapi yang kita mau lihat adalah dia punya sejauh mana dia punya relevan. Adakah berkesan ataupun macam mana dia punya impact dengan negara dan negeri itu sendiri. So contohlah, kalau sebenarnya dia ada dua, dia ada pros and cons. So if the pros is, kalau contohnya, andai kata PM kita yang seterusnya adalah mungkin dari Sabah ataupun Sarawak, mungkin hak-hak kita yang sebelum ini yang kita belum dapat semenjak kita merdeka dari 1963 ni, mungkin kita dapat tunaikan dengan adanya PM kita sebagai wakil kita. So mungkin maybe lah, mungkin menteri-menteri sejak yang dari Sabah ni tidak cukup untuk menyuarakan pendapat, mungkin tak berani lagi sebab mungkin orang rasa kuasa orang tu tidak cukup kan, tapi sebenarnya cukup je pun kan, boleh. Tapi kalau dia adalah pemegang jawatan yang tertinggi di dalam satu community tu, rasanya dia akan dapat push lagi banyak dan suara tu akan dapat dijulang lagi tinggi lah for me. So satu lagi, when we are talking about if the PM is from Sabah and Sarawak, dia mau tidak mau, dia kena cuba juga untuk majukan Sabah dan Sarawak. Kalau tidak, orang akan condemn, orang akan kata, takkanlah negeri sendiri kamu tidak boleh majukan. Macam mana kamu mau majukan Malaysia? Like that lah. So, at the end of the day, mungkin if PM kita yang seterusnya adalah daripada Borneo, kita boleh keep on track with Semenanjung lah in all aspects.
So I feel that in order to achieve yang macam, if you want a lot of youth leaders in Sabah begitu kan, I think one of the thing that we should do first is to break the mindset lah of orang muda di Sabah. Sebab pihak orang muda di Sabah ni, like as mentioned before kan, yang macam chill, santai kan. So we have to break the mindset first. And how do we break the mindset is to actually encourage them to speak out and give them the platform. For example, cuba kau tengok during the situation yang mana tiba-tiba IPTA, diorang kena suruh fly back pergi KL, Semenanjung to actually continue their studies. Which MP yang actually speak out for Sabah and Sarawak? None of the MP from Sabah yang speak out. It's Syed Saddiq. And why do we need someone from KL, from Semenanjung to actually speak out for us? I mean, it's a good thing that they speak out for us, but I feel like kalau let's say you're a Sabahan yourself, you see someone from Sabah to actually speak out for you, which we haven't seen yet in Parliament as a youth kan, terus you will feel empowered dah. And then kalau let's say dekat Twitter juga, siapa yang famous for youth? It's Syed Saddiq, but we don't have a young icon, a young MP or maybe someone in politics yang people can look up to. Bukan saja di politik, tapi kalau kau tengok di corporate level juga, which part of Sabahan youth yang people look up to? Kalau dekat KL, they have Jalil Rashid. And semua begitu kan, tapi in Sabah, we don't have that person to look up to bah. So, I think first is to break the mindset and then actually to encourage them to speak out. That it actually takes into the consideration of everyone. Semua parti pun involved. Parents, teachers, even your kawan-kawan. And not only that kan, kalau you, because sometimes kan it's a taboo bah. Like orang tidak mau cakap about this because they're afraid of being judged and people tell them yang okay, janganlah cakap tentang politik, janganlah cakap tentang ni, tidak bagus tu, nanti kena jail lah or something. Banyak tu misconception. And the thing is kan, I think people should start talking about it. Bukan saja dalam politik. I mean, politik doesn't mean yang kau patut talk about the government policies. And everything is about politics. Everything, small things macam bila kau mau undi your ketua kelas di sekolah kan, it's also politik. So I feel that you have to encourage people to talk more, to speak out. And then how you want to do this for youths especially, I think we should find, when you want to strike a conversation with someone, I think you have to find a common ground. Jangan saja, like let's say the person kan, if let's say commit someone and then they want to talk to you kan, if you go straight forward to politics, they might not be interested. So I think we have to find a common ground. Let's say climate change begitu. If they're interested in climate change, you talk to them about them. Encourage them about talking about climate change. And that's why platform for speaking out for youths in Sabah is really important. And I feel kind of hopeful with the yang ada Sabah Bangkit, and also like recently kan ada macam digital protest against PAS. And then all the youths are going towards that. And I'm really hopeful for that. Sebab kan saya nampak yang, 5 years ago no one is doing this. Then at least they're doing it now. It might, I mean, it's never too late. I really feel it's a good initiative sebab kalau this time of crisis tiba-tiba MCO so begitu kan, the ones yang get affected the most are SMEs ataupun aunty yang disiring-siring yang jual di gerai, jual pisang goreng so begitu. And I feel that when when suddenly MCO happen, they don't have a platform to go to actually sell their stuff online. Kalau ada pun it's not through big platform. Sebab kalau kamu, I think if you have to go through Foodpanda, you have to have certificates or something begitu. At these times of crisis kan, it's better to support people yang memang peniaga kecil. So we have to support people who are actually locally first. Help them to generate income. Macam kita tolong kita bah, rakyat jaga rakyat. Tak ada pun tu hashtag kan, rakyat jaga rakyat. And I feel that's really relevant lah. And especially kalau macam peniaga kecil ni kan, at least we're helping them in a way. It's hard to sokong peniaga kecil now in Sabah itself sebab because of MCO and kebanyakan orang have to close down their businesses kan. Tapi dekat KL and also a majority of Semenanjung, they can actually do that. But like what I see, yang I like about Sabahans is we try to go towards crowdfunding, a lot of crowdfunding. Kalau kau tengok di Twitter pun kan banyak buat crowdfunding, helping people to get data, helping people to actually get supply. There's a lot of crowdfunding. Kalau kamu sana, if you guys see any crowdfunding campaign begitu, I mean, even if you donate RM1, that's already RM1 more, kan? So if you can donate, kan please donate as much as you can. Macam siapa pun I try to donate as much as I can juga lah.
Kalau mau beli barang, orang akan mau beli yang murah bah. So people sanggup lagi beli di online, such as Shopee, apa lagi platform lain, Lazada and so on. Padahal benda tu ada dijual di kawasan kita oleh peniaga-peniaga kecil. When we think about it, memang peniaga-peniaga kecil di Sabah ni dia orang tidak boleh jual murah sebab dia orang ada harga modal. And kalau orang di Shopee tu, dia orang beli dengan harga borong bah. Sebab dia orang beli dalam kuantiti yang sangat banyak. So disebabkan kita mau jimat sikit duit kita tidak beli dan kita tidak sokong peniaga kecil. Mungkin untuk kita, untuk jangka masa yang pendek, memang duit kita akan save sikit. Tapi if we think secara long term, kalau kita beli ataupun kita support local, itu hashtag support local, sebenarnya benda ni dia bukan sahaja tolong kita, tapi dia boleh tolong ramai orang, which is peniaga kecil, instead of going out from our place. So, faham kah? Dia macam ada duit tu in and out bah. Kita akan dapat tolong lagi banyak orang ataupun lagi banyak family untuk terus meneruskan kehidupan, and pada masa yang sama kita macam merealisasikanlah hashtag rakyat jaga rakyat. Macam yang ini juga merupakan satu proses lah ataupun satu bukti yang menunjukkan bahwa okay, tak apalah politician, wakil-wakil rakyat kami tak mau tolong kami, tak apa. Kami tolong diri kami sendirilah. Kami tolong sesama kami.